And we know Vancouver is right there on a major fault line. The science says a massive quake isn't just possible, it's inevitable. So, could it really be a city-ending event?
Well, here's the thing. The answer is way more complicated, and honestly, a lot more reassuring than you'd probably guess. Turns out, the city has this enormous natural protector just sitting off the coast, and it changes absolutely everything. Okay, so let's get into the weeds here. To really get why Vancouver is even considered a risk zone, we have to look deep down, way beneath the ocean floor, at the incredible forces that are shaping our entire coastline. This is the source of the trouble, the Cascadia subduction zone. Just imagine these two colossal pieces of the Earth's crust. One, the Pacific plate, is constantly grinding and shoving its way underneath the North American continent. And all that pushing builds up a mind-boggling amount of stress, year after year. That's the engine for the big one.
And we know this isn't just a theory, because it's happened before. The last time this fault really let loose in a big way was way back in 1700. So for more than 300 years, all that pressure has just been building and building and building. Geologically speaking, that means the clock is definitely ticking. But, and this is a huge but, this is where Vancouver's story takes a very different path. The city has this completely unique geographical setup that totally rewrites what we'd expect to happen when that quake finally hits. Yep, Vancouver Island. That beautiful, massive chunk of land isn't just a great place for a weekend trip. It is, quite literally, the single most important thing keeping the city of Vancouver safe. It is that geological bodyguard we were talking about. Just think about how different this is. You've got places like the coast of California or Japan. They're completely exposed, right on the open Pacific. They take the full direct hit. But Vancouver? It's tucked away, sheltered in this protected basin of water behind the island. It's not on the front lines at all. So how exactly does this one island pull off such a big job? Well, it works like a two-layered defense system, and it counters the two biggest threats from a major quake. It's a 1-2 punch. First, it deals with the violent shaking from the earthquake itself, and second, it neutralizes the threat of a catastrophic tsunami. Let's break that down. Okay, first, the shaking. Think of Vancouver Island like a giant shock absorber on a car. When that quake happens offshore, the energy waves ripple out, but before they can get to Vancouver, bam, they have to go through the dense, heavy rock of the island first. And the island just soaks up a huge amount of that initial destructive force. And then there's the tsunami. An offshore quake can definitely trigger one. But the island is standing right in the way, like a massive shield. It takes the full, brutal impact of the wave. So by the time any water gets past it and into the Georgia Strait, it's not that terrifying Hollywood-style wall of water. It's much more like the tide coming in really, really fast. Still dangerous, for sure, but a totally different beast. So what this all boils down to is a much more realistic picture. Yes, the risk is real, but the actual outcome for Vancouver is likely to be far less severe than many people fear. It's time to separate the facts from the fear. And the data backs this up. Research from places like UBC shows that because those seismic waves are so much weaker by the time they hit the mainland, building damage, especially in the city core, would be more limited. The tsunami threat is way, way lower, and you'd get a crucial warning of 30 to 60 minutes. The overall impact is just less. Now, this is really important. Having a bodyguard doesn't mean you can just be reckless. That protection is not a magic force field. There's still some very real, localized vulnerabilities we have to be smart about. This is where we need to focus. The remaining risks are specific. We're talking about older buildings, the ones not constructed to modern seismic codes. And we're talking about areas with soft, loose soil, places that can experience something called liquefaction. Think about reclaimed land, like in parts of Richmond. That's where we need to be prepared. All right, let's pull all of this together. What's the final takeaway for anyone living in this region? We've seen the threat, which is real. But we've also seen this incredible natural defense system that's in place. What does that actually mean for you, living your day-to-day life? The bottom line is this. When it came to geology, Vancouver pretty much won the lottery.
Being tucked in behind that massive island is an unbelievable natural advantage that takes the worst-case scenario right off the table. And that's really the message here. The goal isn't to live without any concern at all. It's to replace that big, vague panic with focused, calm, practical preparedness. Know your specific local risks, have your emergency kit and a plan, and then you can get on with enjoying life in this beautiful and, as it turns out, surprisingly well-protected city.